Portland, Oregon, a city that has always done things its own way. It's the kind of place where two guys with no baking experience open a donut shop between two nightclubs and end up on the Today Show. Where a minor league pitcher looks at a pouch of chewing tobacco and thinks, there has to be a better idea. Where a restaurant owner stares at a bowl of leftover rice peel-off and accidentally invents the future of food. Portland doesn't pitch to investors or test focus groups. It starts in a food cart, in a church basement, in a kitchen with yesterday's scraps, and again, what Portland starts ends up on the plates and shelves of the entire world. These are 10 foods that Portland bet everything on, and won. Welcome to Dish Decoded. Let's decode this. (2003). Downtown Portland, wedged between two nightclubs in Old Town, is a tiny storefront with a pink neon glow. Two guys from the local bar scene, Cat Daddy and Trez Shannon, have just opened a donut shop with zero baking experience and an almost reckless commitment to chaos. The menu is unlike anything before it. The voodoo doll, stabbed through with a pretzel steak. The bacon maple bar. Donuts topped with cereal, tang, and crushed Tums. Health inspectors draw the line at the Tums. The shop is only open at night, drawing bar crowds after last call. By 2007, Bourdon is filming there. By 2008, the mayor designates the Portland Creme as the city's official donut. Cat Daddy and Trez didn't reinvent the donut. They blew the concept open entirely. In 1999, Dwayne Sorensen opens a single coffee shop on Southeast Division Street, formerly a hair salon called The Hairbender, whose name he borrows for a signature blend. He calls his company Stumptown, a nickname Portland earned in the 1840s when the city was growing faster than anyone could clear the stumps. Sorensen pays prices for beans other roasters consider insane, sometimes 4 times fair trade rate. He once sets the record for highest price ever paid for a coffee lot. But Stumptown's most lasting invention isn't a roast, it's cold brew, specifically nitro cold brew in a can. A smooth, nitrogen-charged coffee you crack open like a beer. Stumptown is among the first to bring that formula to grocery shelves nationwide, turning a niche coffee shop experiment into a multi-billion-dollar category. The cold brew aisle at your grocery store traces directly back to Division Street, Portland, 1999. (1981). Paul Wenner opens a vegetarian restaurant called The Garden House in Gresham, on the eastern edge of the Portland Metro. One day, facing a container of leftover rice peel-off and mushrooms, he mixes them together with oats and cheese, shapes the mixture into a patty, and puts it on a bun. In 1981, a meatless burger is a radical concept. Wenner bets on it anyway. By 1982, the Garden Burger accounts for nearly half his lunch orders. By 1984, he closes the restaurant to take the patty nationwide, securing financing from the CEO of Louisiana Pacific. The Garden Burger goes public in 1992. It airs a spot during the Seinfeld finale. Annual sales top $100 million. More than 4 billion sold worldwide. Paul Wenner didn't set out to disrupt the food industry. He just couldn't stand a throwaway dinner. The Portland Mavericks were one of the most bizarre franchises in minor league baseball history. An independent team owned by character actor Bing Russell, whose son Kurt played second base. In 1977, left-handed pitcher Rob Nelson noticed a bat boy carrying a pouch stuffed with licorice mixed to look like chewing tobacco. Nelson thought, what if that was bubblegum? What if kids could have the same ritual major leaguers had? The pouch, the pinch, the jaw working between pitches? Without the tobacco? He buys a DIY bubblegum kit, experiments in his kitchen, and lands on shredded strips of gum packed in a foil pouch. He calls it Big League Chew. He pitches it to a subsidiary of the Wrigley Company. They buy it. It hits shelves in 1980 and becomes an immediate phenomenon on middle school playgrounds across America. More than 800 million pouches sold since. Nelson never made the majors as a pitcher. His bubblegum did just fine. In 2011, cousins Kim and Tyler Malik invest $16 in 4 used hand-crank ice cream makers and set up a food cart on Northeast Alberta Street in Portland. Neither has ever made ice cream professionally. Tyler has a finance background. Kim has a passion for food. Together, they have absolutely no business being in the ice cream business. What they figure out is that ice cream isn't just a dessert, it's a canvas. Their flavors aren't just flavors, they are ideas. Honey lavender, pear and blue cheese, arbequina olive oil, bone marrow, and smoked cherries. They spend months learning from chefs, chocolatiers, and brewers before applying everything to a single scoop in a waffle cone. The cart becomes a brick and mortar. Portland becomes Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and beyond. Lines snake down the block on opening weekends. $16. 4 hand crank machines. A question: what if ice cream could taste like anything at all? In the early 1990s, Portland native Heather Howitt treks through the Himalayas and discovers chai, a spiced milk tea centuries old in South Asian culture. She comes home obsessed. She and her mother start experimenting in a church basement, working toward a concentrate you could mix with milk at home or pull from a coffee shop espresso machine. Oregon Chai launches in 1994 with $20,000 in sales, Howitt and her mom bottling it themselves. By 2000, $15 million a year, stocked in coffee shops and grocery chains across the country. The chai latte is now one of the most ordered drinks in America. It owes a direct debt to a church basement in Portland. The Himalayas gave her the idea. Portland gave her the kitchen. Labor Day weekend, 1939. George and Versa Boyington are running a hot dog stand on the Oregon coast when a rainstorm rolls in and soaks every bun they have. George doesn't quit. He develops a pancake batter mix he can make fresh as needed, dips the dog in, drops it in the fryer, and pulls out something that has never existed before. He calls it the Pronto Pup. They debut it at their Portland storefront. It's an immediate hit. They copyright the recipe, trademark the name, and sell franchises coast to coast. Other cities would later claim credit for the corn dog, but no claim predates the Boyingtons' Oregon origin. Every corn dog ever eaten traces back to a rainy Labor Day on the Oregon coast and a man who refused to let a storm waste a perfectly good hot dog. Dave Dahl comes from a family of Oregon bakers. By his 40s, he has also spent 15 years in prison. When he gets out, his brother Glenn gives him a job. Dave doesn't just return to baking, he reinvents it. He develops an organic whole grain loaf packed with seeds and grains, dense and chewy, nothing like the processed bread dominating supermarket shelves. In 2005, he and Glenn start selling it at the Portland Farmers Market. The lines are long from day one. The bread expands to grocery stores across Oregon, then regionally, then nationally. The company builds its identity around second chance hiring, intentionally employing people with criminal records. In 2015, Flower Foods acquires Dave's Killer Bread for $275 million. Dave Dahl bet on himself when almost no one else would. That was the only bet that mattered. In 1982, Kettle Foods starts making potato chips in Salem, Oregon, just south of Portland. The approach is almost aggressively simple. Slow cook in small batches in a kettle, the way people made food before industrial manufacturing took over. Use real ingredients, no shortcuts. The result is a chip with a crunch unlike anything on the market. Thicker, harder, irregular, the kind of chip that rewards your full attention. Kettle brand gets picked up by natural food co-ops, then specialty grocers, then mainstream supermarkets as America's appetite for better ingredient snacking begins to grow. What they essentially invent is a category. The kettle-cooked chip didn't exist as a recognized product type before they popularized it. Now it occupies entire aisles. Today it's a segment worth hundreds of millions of dollars, with dozens of brands chasing a formula a small Oregon company figured out in 1982. Slow beat fast, real beat processed. It just took a while for the rest of the world to catch up. Seth Tibbett moves to the Columbia River Gorge in the early 1980s, lives in a treehouse, makes his own tofu, and starts a company called Turtle Island Foods in Hood River, Oregon. For years, it's a regional curiosity. Then in 1995, he introduces the tofurkey, a wheat protein and tofu roast designed for the vegetarian Thanksgiving table. The early versions are imperfect. Critics are divided, but Tibbett keeps refining it, and the cultural moment keeps building toward him. As plant-based eating grows through the late 1990s and 2000s, tofurkey becomes the de facto symbol of the vegetarian holiday table. It gets name-dropped on television. It becomes a punchline, and then a legitimate staple. Today, tofurkey is a full product line sold across North America. The most famous plant-based roast in American food history started in a treehouse, with a man who believed the dinner table could be bigger than it was. 10 foods? 10 small bets. One city that has never once been afraid to try something that probably shouldn't work. Portland built its culinary legacy in food carts and church basements, in minor league dugouts and rain-soaked beach stands and vegetarian restaurants that nobody thought would last. It took leftovers and made them legendary. It took a bad weekend on the beach and invented a carnival staple. It took $16 and built a national ice cream brand. It asked what